Who is he really, the way he speaks? It doesn't even sound human anymore. That's because he isn't. Not in the way most people define humanity. The man who once walked among them, bruised and shattered, no longer exists. That version of him was destroyed. What rose from the wreckage was something else entirely, something forged in fire and baptized in betrayal. He didn't just survive, he transformed. He didn't hide from the darkness within, he welcomed it. He invited his inner monsters to sit at his table, not as enemies, but as allies. And now, when he breathes, they follow. When he moves, they act. He no longer fears the shadows because he commands them. They call him cursed, broken, monstrous. But the truth is, he became what the world made him. He didn't choose to be this force of fury and focus. It was the only way to survive. They broke him once, and he buried that man. What remains is someone no longer haunted by demons. He leads them with unwavering control.
I too no longer run. I've stopped trying to cage what lives inside me. There was a time I tried to silence the roar echoing in my chest, to soothe the fire in my veins with fake smiles and quiet words. I once thought I had to mask the rage, the grief, the deep thunder of sadness with something sweet and soft to be palatable to the world. But kindness never protected me. Softness never saved me. The world didn't care about my gentleness. It came for me with teeth bared and knives sharpened, dressed in fake smiles and polite betrayal. So I stopped pretending. I set the mask ablaze. I tore apart the chains I'd wrapped around myself. I looked inside the cage of my soul and said, "Come out, all of you. I'm done being afraid." They used to call me too much, too angry, too distant, too damaged, but they never asked why. They didn't see the nights when I bit down on screams so loud they nearly tore me apart. They never noticed the quiet grief I swallowed like shards of broken glass, still managing to smile through the blood. They never saw the storms that raged beneath my skin. But I did. I lived them. Every second, every breath, every lie I whispered to myself just to get through another day. They only noticed when I stopped pretending, when I stopped shrinking myself to make others comfortable, when I stopped apologizing for being made of fire and bone. They called it monstrous. But it was the most honest I had ever been. They want to believe monsters are evil, chaotic, aimless. But my monsters, they are warriors. They are methodical, patient. They calculate every move. They don't lash out. They strike with precision. I didn't just embrace them. I trained with them. I became one of them. Not in weakness, but in power. They think I'm dangerous because I've stopped caring what they think. They mistake detachment for cruelty. But I don't want revenge. That's too small. Revenge is what you seek when you still care. I don't, not anymore. What I want is freedom from their rules, their labels, their control. I wasn't born powerful. I was shaped by fire, sharpened by heartbreak, molded by silence. Every betrayal carved something new into me. Every disappointment chiseled away the softness. I learned to wear pain like armor, to wield sorrow like a blade. I became everything they feared, because that's what it took to survive. When they look at me now, they see something they no longer understand. I'm not the victim they expected to crawl away. I'm not begging for understanding or forgiveness. I'm not pretending to be anything other than exactly what I am. I don't flinch. I don't bow. I rise. And now, they're the ones on their knees, the same people who once tried to break me, who laughed as I fell, are now staring up at me, trembling, unsure how the roles reversed. They thought they held the power, but they were playing games. I was studying war. Every time they underestimated me, I learned more. Every insult became fuel. Every wound became wisdom. Now they whisper the word monster like it's meant to wound me, but to me, it means something entirely different. Monster means survivor. Monster means I endured what would have destroyed others. Monster means I turned every scar into a symphony of strength. I welcome the monsters inside me because they're the only ones who never abandoned me. They never lied to me. They didn't smile while sharpening knives behind my back. They didn't disappear when I was at my lowest. They came, uninvited but loyal. They stood beside me when I shook, when I screamed, when I broke. They said, "Let us carry this with you," and they did. Rage walked me through the days when I couldn't get out of bed. Fury spoke for me when my voice failed. Vengeance stood behind me when love betrayed me. They gave me strength when I had none, and I don't regret letting them in. I've been the quiet one in the background, the afterthought, the disposable piece. I've been polite in the face of cruelty, forgiving in the face of betrayal. I've smiled while being used, stayed silent while being discarded, but not anymore. That version of me is gone, dead and buried, deep where no one can dig it up again. The one that stands now doesn't forget, doesn't forgive. This version remembers everything, every lie, every slight, every smile that hid a knife. I carry them like sacred scripture. I don't let them go. I turn them into power. They think I'm reckless, but I'm exact, focused. They don't understand that my monsters are disciplined. They watch, they wait. They know when to strike. Not from chaos, but from purpose. I am not a wildfire. I am a guided flame. Now they see me for what I am. A force they cannot contain. A storm they cannot silence. The fear in their eyes tells me everything I need to know. They finally realize I am not theirs to mold or manage. I am not their pawn anymore. They tried to write my ending with cruelty and manipulation, thinking I would fold. But I took their script, tore it apart, and wrote my own chapter. One built on resilience, on clarity, on strength. I'm not bound by their rules. I made my own. And they lost. Not because I sought vengeance, but because I stopped playing their game. They look around and find nothing left. No leverage, no power, no place in my story. Because I stripped it all from them, not with hatred, but with detachment. I outgrew the cage they built for me. This is not just survival, it's transformation. This is becoming. This is ascending. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. I am the dark, and it doesn't scare me because I understand it. I am it. The only difference is now I control it. They mocked me when I stumbled. They laughed when I bled. They thought breaking me would be the end of my story. But all they did was fuel the fire. Every ounce of doubt, every wound they delivered made me stronger. And now I walk through their ruins, unshaken. Their empire of lies crumbles around them, and I stand tall, not with pride, not with arrogance, but with unshakable resolve. I endured, and that's something they'll never understand, because true transformation, true power, only comes to those who can survive their own destruction. To those who have looked into the abyss and decided to become something new, something whole. They think I've lost my humanity, but what they fail to see is that I've reclaimed it on my own terms. This is who I am now, and I don't need their approval. I have my monsters, I have myself, and that's enough.